It all started with a brutal hit to the face. In the second quarter, Sonia Rivers came charging down the lane, but instead of finishing the play, she swung her arm and caught Kelsey Mitchell clean across the jaw. Mitchell collapsed to the hardwood instantly, stunned by the blow. For a split second, the entire arena froze. The crowd, players stopped in their tracks. The refs called the foul, but something in the air lingered. It wasn't just reckless, it felt deliberate. Kelsey Mitchell, a cornerstone for the Indiana Fever, was down. Watching her teammates rush to her side while Rivers jogged away without a second glance struck a nerve. It was a moment that shifted the energy in the arena completely, not just with the crowd, but with Caitlin Clark. When someone takes a shot at a teammate, especially one as respected as Mitchell, something inside Clark snapped. She didn't argue with the refs, she didn't waste words. She responded with her game. From that moment on, the tone of the game changed. What followed wasn't just basketball, it was a message, a quiet vengeance executed on the court without a word spoken. The opening quarter began with pace, and Connecticut struck first. Sonia Rivers grabbed a loose ball in traffic and went coast to coast, gliding past the defense for an easy layup. A strong start for the Sun, but Indiana wasn't rattled. Caitlin Clark took control. After a hard hedge at the top of the key, she stayed calm, drew the trap, and fed Natasha Howard for a smooth finish at the rim. That play set the tone, not just for Clark, but for the Fever's offense. They weren't going to rush, they would execute. Tina Charles answered for Connecticut with a shot only she could make, a one-legged, off-balance mid-range jumper that dropped with textbook precision. Vintage Charles. But Indiana kept their cool. Clark kept probing and found Howard again, this time at the high post. Howard pivoted twice, read the defense, and muscled her way into a clean finish. Every possession had a purpose. The Fever were finding their rhythm. The crowd could feel it. And then came Clark's moment. After drawing the defense, she froze her defender, then exploded down the lane, kissing the ball off the glass for two. It was subtle but surgical, one of those plays that didn't need words to say, "I'm locked in." The offense continued to flow. Clark found Lexi Hull cutting backdoor and delivered a pinpoint bounce pass through traffic. Hull caught it in stride, rose up, and drained a soft fadeaway over her defender. Then Clark took it to the next level. After snagging a defensive rebound, she fired a full court pass to Lexi Hull, streaking down the left wing. Hull caught it effortlessly and drained a three without hesitation. The Fever were in rhythm and moving like a team with something to prove. Connecticut tried to punch back. Clark got stripped at the top of the key and Rivers made the most of it, pushing ahead for an easy layup. But moments later, the Sun ran a high-low action to get Charles deep in the post. She finished with ease, continuing her strong first quarter. But Indiana closed strong. Ari McDonald came off a handoff, drove hard, got bumped, and calmly knocked down both free throws. When the buzzer sounded, the Fever held a narrow lead, 29-28. But the control, the spacing, the execution all pointed to something building just beneath the surface. The second quarter began with a surge of defensive energy. Caitlin Clark read the passing lane perfectly, intercepted a lazy swing pass, and took off on the break. With the court wide open in front of her, she pushed hard toward the rim. But just as she was about to finish, JCS Sheldon came across with a foul. Clark took the contact and calmly knocked down one free throw, nudging Indiana ahead. Moments later, Kelsey Mitchell added her own spark. After a broken possession, Mitchell stayed with the play, regained control, and finished with a soft flip off the glass. That persistence, classic Mitchell. Indiana stuck to their two-man action at the top, and again, it paid off. Mitchell froze her defender with a subtle pause, then rose for a smooth mid-range jumper that dropped clean. The rhythm was swinging in Indiana's favor. Clark, after receiving a handoff, added a hesitation that confused both defenders. She sliced her way to the rim for an easy finish. Then Connecticut responded. Bria Hartley shook her defender with a slick in-and-out dribble, then buried a deep three to remind everyone the Sun still had bite. On the next possession, Sheldon ran the play perfectly, drawing both defenders before kicking it out to Tina Charles, who hit another smooth two. But once again, Mitchell answered for the Fever. She danced past her defender with a flurry of crossovers, then finished with a left-handed layup off the glass. The Fever kept their momentum. Indiana closed the half strong. Mitchell found Sophie Cunningham wide open for a three, and Cunningham drained it without hesitation. At halftime, Indiana held a slim 44-42 lead, but the energy, it was electric. The third quarter began with Connecticut striking first. Sonia Rivers found Bria Hartley wide open at the top of the key, and Hartley drained another three. Then Charles caught the ball deep in the post, executed a one-foot hook shot that floated through the net, smooth and confident, but Indiana kept their foot on the gas. Lexi Hull slipped behind her defender on the weak side and received a perfect behind-the-back pass from Clark. Hull finished strong at the rim. Then, Aaliyah Boston took over. She caught the ball, waited for Howard to cut, and dropped a perfect bounce pass. Howard finished with ease, giving her 17 points on the night. Howard wasn't slowing down. Connecticut kept trying to stay alive. After a soft jumper from Leah Lon, Clark responded. With the defense collapsing, she found Cunningham again, who converted a clean pass for an easy three. Clark's vision kept Indiana ahead. The Sun made one final push. Anna Marraro posted up against her smaller defender, and Tina Charles lofted a perfect lob pass. Marraro converted with ease, but Indiana wouldn't fold. Boston answered with 2 clutch free throws to regain control. With just a few minutes left, Clark found an opening after a screen and calmly hit a soft runner off 1 foot, a crucial bucket to stop the Suns' run. The Fever's defense stepped up again. Cunningham stole the ball and Clark converted 2 free throws to give Indiana more breathing room. But it was Clark's signature moment that broke the game open. She found space beyond the arc and buried a 3 with a defender trailing late. Connecticut tried to respond, but the Fever were already closing the door. With just over a minute left, an overzealous defender bumped Clark, sending her to the line. She knocked down both free throws without a second thought. The final nail came soon after. Clark read the defense perfectly, finding Mitchell cutting backdoor for an easy layup. The crowd roared as the final seconds ticked away. Indiana finished strong with composure, efficiency, and a dominant win. The final score read 85-77, but it wasn't just about the score. It was the response. Kelsey Mitchell took a hit, but Caitlin Clark delivered the real answer. Not with words, not with cheap shots. She delivered it with buckets. And by the time the final horn sounded, the message was clear. If you go after her teammates, you answer to her. Not with talk, but with buckets.